know what worries me or satisfies me about that moral compass. I'm not going to talk about the
that's why I
religious
said that.
aspect, but
Yeah.
I know you saying I ain't, I'm a politician, but I talk a
Yeah.
little
That's
bit,
why.
so that I need all the support and whatever.
Yeah.
But let me put it to you this way: talking and saying something without saying something. I done told you stories
Yeah.
about growing up.
Yep.
Here come another one.
I like these.
I'm in about the 4th grade, 5th grade. We shoot marbles. Remember, we draw
I
the
shot
circle
marbles. Yeah.
and we shoot the marbles, and we knew this one guy. His name started with a D. I'm gonna just say, we thought he was a little different. So we shooting marbles. We under the tree. I'll never forget it. Something jumped off. Me and this guy getting ready to fight. And remember, we talking about that moral compass.
Yeah.
And remember, we believe the moral compass can help people, stop them from killing and stealing, even if they're a little different. I ain't talking about their sexual orientation.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the moral compass, stealing, killing, fighting. Man, when that fight jumped off between me and him, I wish he had a moral compass, because I'm doing like this. He went to doing that and tore me up. I say, I ain't saying nothing to messing with nobody. I wish they all had the moral compass. So I'm just going to look at it that way. I want them to have a moral compass.
Yeah.
I want
Well,
them
it's
to
not.
fight, steal, and kill.
It's not specific to them. That was one example. But like, I'll give you another example. I don't think that there is any respect for older people the way that it used to be. Right? I think that people will knock somebody over the head, won't have any kind of regard for them. They'll call a person that is elderly out of their name.
That happens to me on Flint City Council.
I mean, but let's okay. So let
They
me
ain't got
let me
no
do this. Let's
respect
talk
in
this.
some cases.
So in 2008,
Okay,
you took the buyout. You retired.
that's correct.
What happens after 2008?
I ran for office. I didn't win. Then in 2013, I won.
What made you run for office?
Political science degree, but forget that degree. When I came out of Michigan State, I was elected the 3rd vice president of the Flint branch of the NAACP.
Okay.
I was appointed the political action chair of the Flint branch of the NAACP. And I was the youngest person on the executive board at 21, 22 of the NAACP. One of my assignments, Sue Williams, she was the president, she passed, was to attend council meetings and report back to the board and look at issues that I felt the Flint branch of the NAACP needed to pay attention to. What I noticed at that young age, that everything I heard and seen, for the most part, that happened in them council meetings ended up in the newspaper and on the news. That fascinated me. I say, if you look at them council meetings, and it's probably like that all across the country, but in Flint, most of the stuff they talk about end up in the newspaper and in the news.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think it is? Because somebody figured that was an attention getter. Because somebody figured the majority of the people want to keep up with those governmental activities. And it's been like that. But that fascinated me. And so I wanted to be one of them people who was trying to affect change through that process and be in the news. And so, sure enough, to this day, from the 70s to the 80s, it still worked that same way.
When did the water crisis happen in Flint?
I won in November 2013. If my mind serves me right, they switched that water in about April of 2014. In other words, we had been getting the same water in Flint
As in
that
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah.
And the water was being treated in Detroit, and if I'm not mistaken, pulled out of Lake Huron.
Correct.
All of a sudden, Flint and emergency managers and others decided they was going to build a new pipeline from Lake Huron to Flint. And then in the interim, they was going to cut us off from
Detroit.
our big brother, big sister city, Detroit, and pull water out of the Flint River and serve it to us to save money while they was building a new pipeline. But they not only pulled it out of a worse source, the Flint River, which we always believe General Motors had
Polluted
dump
it.
stuff in there and other things. But not only did they pull it out the Flint River, they decided consciously not to treat it properly.
Why did they consciously decide not to treat it properly? In your opinion?
Expediency. Thinking it's okay. Didn't care. I looked at a report that's told them clearly if they pull it out of the Flint River, they must put corrosion control, and it said how to treat it properly. And Flint had paid for that report before I came on the council. Had they followed the report and the experts, they'd have treated it properly. They wouldn't have did what they did intentionally, and some of it unintentional. But what they did and the decisions they made, to me, was criminal. And it was criminal toward a city that was a majority black.
Yeah.
And to this day, folk ain't even been prosecuted. If you or me did it, I'd probably be locked down somewhere.
Oh, one of my good friends, and I've had him on this couch at least 3 times, is Kwame, right? And
You mean I'm sitting on the same couch that Kwame that's
yeah, absolutely, same spot.
You a big timer, man.
Nah, man, I'm small time.
But how you get Kwame?
He a good friend. Well, he a good friend of mine.
Well, I'm glad to be in Detroit now. I'm learning something, man, about Anton Daniels.